Oh, yeah. Freak out, freak out. Yeah, I'm looking right into the video scope, And this is Macho Man, #1 Macho Man impersonator, past, present, future. Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, you are watching 49er Minded with Bashar. Yeah, the cream of the crop. Dig it?
49er Mind is it's not just a thought process, but a way of life. 49er Mind, 49er Mind, I can't shake it. It's 49er Mind that I got. It's 49er Shine that I got. My psyche's on another Frisco Super Bowl. Don't sit slow, cause here we go with a super show. A written go session about our red and gold obsession. With some well-controlled expressions, let's talk about that win that we got. Who should have been in the spot? That's how they spin in the spot. Just all that back, all that crack, all that strip, fumble sack. Or just dial it on up if you wanna talk smack. It don't matter what the story on, as long as the story aligns with a 49er mind. 49er minded. It's not just a thought process, 49er minded, but a way of life. For sure. 49er minded. Way of life. 49er minded.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a special Happy Halloween episode of 49er Minded, a Victory Monday. We were victorious over the Los Angeles Rams. And just want to say what's up to everybody. And people are going to be coming on late. It's kind of unannounced, kind of a last minute type of thing. But with that said, I'm going to announce my special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome LeBron James, otherwise known as Amin the Dream. What is up? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Yeah, with the LeBron jersey. Obviously, you got the Jackie Moon Curry mix, you know.
Yeah.
Or yesterday you were Bashar Ross. Today we got if Jackie Moon played on the Warriors.
I was Marshmallow on Forever Faithful podcast too. So just kind of mixing it up a little bit for Halloween. How's your day going? How was your weekend?
It's going good. Had a long day of school. Basketball practice started today. Got canceled though, but overall it's been good. I mean, Mondays are alright, you know. Obviously for adults, Mondays are okay. Going back into work, coming off the weekend, you know, young kids, you know, high school, you know, elementary school, you come off the weekend, going to school the next morning. So Mondays are always a little bit below average, but can't complain too much.
Yeah, I didn't know you were playing basketball. What position are you playing?
I usually play point guard, but you know, we will see what coach gives me this year.
Now, what kind of point guard are you? Are you just more of your typical classic point guard, is more of a distributor and you kind of lay low, or you're aggressive and you like to shoot the ball a lot?
I like to shoot, but I know when it's the time to shoot the ball, and you know when you know, dish it out to someone, you know. But we'll see. I haven't played basketball in a long time. Football is really like the sport that I started playing like recently, and I started playing with my cousins and different things like that. So football is like that sport. So like we'll play football in PE, and I'm like killing it right now. Not to brag too much, but I'm killing it right now. Like we've played like 7 games of like PE, like actual games of football, and I haven't lost a game at quarterback. You know, we doing some things on the football on the football side, but basketball, I haven't played basketball in years. Basketball was really the first sport that I really started to love and enjoy, but took a break from basketball. So this is my first time playing a season of basketball in a couple of years now, like 2 years maybe since the pandemic. So a little bit rusty. So got to get back into that.
Yeah, really quick, because I didn't play organized basketball. I always played organized football in high school, but I always had that that urge to try to want to play organized basketball, but I never did. I kind of regretted that. The closest thing, we did some intramurals, and that was the closest thing to anything organized in terms of basketball, and I had fun with that. But yeah, Niners played in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, Levi's South, and for whatever reason, when the Shanahan team plays the Rams, you know, we tend to have the upper hand. We all wish we could just take all those wins from the regular season back and have one in the NFC Championship game. I don't know about you, but I would have traded that game, wouldn't you?
I would have easily. Like, that's the thing. People say we own the Rams. And in the regular season, that's the case. We do own the Rams. We've beaten them 8 times in a row. But like you mentioned, I would trade all those 8 games away if I got the NFC Championship game, if I automatically won the NFC Championship game. So if I had to go 0-8 and win the NFC championship game, I would much rather have that and earn a shot to the Super Bowl than win 8 regular season games, because that doesn't really guarantee you, a Super Bowl spot. So as much as, yes, we do own the Rams in the regular season, I think even though the Rams have lost to us, they won the big game and they won the important game against the Niners, which was the NFC Championship game, and which ultimately they won the Super Bowl. So I would definitely trade this 8-0 streak against the Rams for the NFC Championship game.
Right, and I think we would have probably won the Super Bowl had it been the case, And what's up, Somi's in the chat? What's up, Somi? How you doing? Yeah, it's a good question. We can talk about this for a little bit, because the trade deadline is coming up tomorrow, right? I believe. And there were rumors about Jeff Wilson Jr. being on the trading block. And I'll let you go first, because and you could give us your insight whether you think it may happen or whether you want it to happen, and just let everybody know what's going on with that.
I mean, it could happen, right? It just depends on what the other team is willing to give up for Jeff Wilson. But I mean, if it were up to me, I wouldn't trade Jeff Wilson. I mean, CMC had a great game, but how long can CMC last? How long can he stay healthy? And then obviously Elijah Mitchell's coming back, but who knows what he's going to be after that knee? Obviously, are they going to rush him back into things? I don't think so now that CMC is there, but I wouldn't trade Jeff Wilson. I feel like with the injuries that this Niners team has, it's still nice to have a guy like Jeff Wilson that's been in the system for so long, and that when you need him to step up, he has been able to do that. He did that this year. He's done that in the past. I mean, it's nice to have a guy like Jeff Wilson who's been in the system, and when he's called upon, he's able to step up. And yes, CMC and Elijah Mitchell are phenomenal, but both of those guys, obviously Elijah Mitchell last year dealt with some injuries. This year also, week 1 went out. But CMC has some injuries in his past, and if Kyle Shanahan continues to utilize him, will he be able to go and will he be able to stay healthy? So I think I would much rather keep Jeff Wilson than to, get like a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick, but it could happen. I'm not ruling it out, but if it were up to me, I would probably prefer to keep Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, before I get into that, I just want to say what's up to Kenny. He's a big running backs guy, big 49er fan all the way up in the Pacific Northwest, always repping the Niners 24/7. What's up, Kenny? Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about CMC in a minute, and we love what's going on with that. But, Jeff Wilson Jr. is having a pretty decent season, actually. I mean, and I didn't like him when they try to kind of feature him as a bell cow type of guy, because that's not him. But other than that, he's great at doing certain things. He's showing me a burst up the middle of the field that I have not seen in recent years with Jeff Wilson Jr. So I do love having him in the mix. Now, if a team is saying 2nd-round pick for Jeff Wilson, I'm gonna open my ears and be like, okay, let's talk dollars and cents here. Let's see what's going on. But other than that, I mean, obviously, it's the whole injury. It's stupid. It's like this dark cloud that hangs above the 49ers roster. We have all this talent, but you guys are going to be plagued with injuries, and the running back position has definitely been like that.
Yeah,
it sucks. And unless Shanahan has ultimate confidence in TDP coming back, and TDP is available now. He played a little bit in the previous game, and I believe we still have Coleman on the practice squad.
I don't know. Did he go back on the practice squad, or did they just let him go?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who the reigning running back. I don't know if we still have Coleman or Jordan Mason, but I mean, if we still had Coleman, I might be up for it if we get proper compensation. But other than that, I'm staying away from it though. Because I really think we have freaking McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Jeff Wilson in the mix, like that is a crazy rotation of running backs.
That really is. I mean, Elijah Mitchell was RB1 last year, right? Nearing the end of the season, and he was great for the 49ers. He almost had 1,000 rushing yards, and he didn't even play like 12 games. He played like just the second half of the season, and he had almost 1,000 rushing yards. And now you add Christian McCaffrey into the mix. I mean, having Elijah Mitchell as your RB2, that's pretty darn good. And then having Jeff Wilson as your RB3, I mean, that's even better. I mean, the Niners running back group, the way that it's looking right now, I mean, it's great. I mean, if someone goes down, you have Elijah Mitchell, and if Elijah Mitchell goes down, you have Jeff Wilson. Now, obviously, we're not hoping for injuries, but you have pretty good depth at that position, and you can utilize all three, right? I obviously think Christian McCaffrey's going to get the bulk of the carries, and, Elijah Mitchell will also get his fair share of carries. But on 3rd down situations, and, obviously with Juice being out, you have a guy like Jeff Wilson that could potentially pick up a first down and on a third and short. So having Jeff Wilson's a luxury. And I mean, I agree with you. If we were getting, maybe a second, or if a team was calling for a second or third, which I don't think that's gonna happen, I would definitely be interested. But for like a sixth, or a fifth, or late fifth, or a sixth, it doesn't really intrigue me. It doesn't interest me in wanting to trade Jeff Wilson away. So I would definitely keep Jeff Wilson. And even in the LA game, I mean, in the LA game, he had a couple of nice cuts. He had a couple of nice runs. He picked up a couple of first downs. So I definitely want to see Jeff Wilson on this roster. I wouldn't be opposed to trading him if we got really, good compensation, like a second, like you mentioned. But for now, I think the best thing for the Niners to do is to keep Jeff Wilson and hold on to him.
Yeah, it's the same here. Soe Mera is saying this guy costume. I'm assuming he's talking about me, or he might be talking about the Dream, who's playing LeBron James over here. But there's another trade rumor that's been circulating around. I'm not sure. It's kind of like a last minute trade rumor that they're bringing up. And Adam Schefter was talking about it. Pat McAfee was talking about it, and the possibility. This is like an annual thing, guys. It's almost like this was the 1 year where I did not think that they would ever mention this. And then yet, lo and behold, when I'm thinking everything's fine and dandy right before the trade deadline, we hear it once again. It's an annual thing. Odell Beckham Jr. So Adam Schefter is talking about it. And, Pat McAfee was also talking about it. And Adam Schefter's like, oh, well, the 49ers have pursued him many times in the past. They tried to pursue him last year. So who says they won't be pursuing him this time around? What do you think about that possibility now? Are you for it?
I mean, I'm mixed on the whole situation because obviously adding a guy like OBJ has its pros and cons, right? Because he's coming off 2 torn ACLs, coming off injuries, and having OBJ is definitely a luxury. But there's two issues that I have with OBJ. Not necessarily issues, but two potential issues. Number one, Brandon Ayuk probably won't get as many targets because if OBJ is in there and he's able to go, he won't get as many targets. And number two, the biggest issue, in my opinion, is that you look at OBJ's career. OBJ is known for being a crybaby, or being, when not getting the football, being a crybaby. You look at his time in Cleveland with, Baker Mayfield. His dad put out a video of literally clips of OBJ being wide open and him not getting the ball, and he wanted out of Cleveland. And obviously, he went into the Rams and they got him the football and he was happy there and they didn't re-sign him. But I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo can get OBJ the ball enough to where he's happy and satisfied. And obviously, OBJ likes to win, but there's certain receivers that also enjoy getting the football and getting a lot of looks and getting a lot of targets and, getting a lot of footballs thrown their way. And OBJ is one of those people. So I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo can get him the football enough to where he's happy. And if you look at the Niners, Jimmy has been passing more in certain games, but still, the main identity of this offense is that it's a run first team. So the Niners still love to run the football. And now that Christian McCaffrey's there, you're definitely going to be running the football. You're definitely going to be running the football more with Christian McCaffrey. So OBJ, I don't know how many targets he's going to get looked his way. And you're lessening the targets for Ayuk or Debo or Jawan Jennings. You're lessening the targets for those guys. So obviously OBJ would be a nice commodity to have, but you have to weigh out you have to look at the risk and reward factor, and you have to weigh the ratio of the risk and reward that you get with bringing in a guy like OBJ. So rumors are rumors. I don't really take too much out of rumors, but it definitely is a risk. It could pay off for the Niners if they do go out and get him, but it definitely has some potential issues that could come up in the season if OBJ is on this football team.
And me personally, I just don't see Odell Beckham Jr. as the guy he used to be. I think anybody who thinks that needs to reevaluate things a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong; he's still talented. He can still probably do certain things that some of our receivers can't. But I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, and now if we were to get him, would he be a free agent, or would he have to actually trade for him? Because if we'd have to trade for him, I wouldn't even bother. I mean, because we already gave up all those picks for Christian McCaffrey. And
if he's a free agent, yeah. I would definitely consider it more, right? Consider it at least. But if you had to trade for him, there's no way I wouldn't trade for OBJ. And like the Niners, I mean, this is the thing. OBJ is a luxury. OBJ isn't a position of need. You have Brandon Ayuk, you have Debo Samuel, you have Jawan Jennings, you have receivers. You have a decent receiving core, and your top two are great. Your wide receiver number 2 is arguably wide receiver number 1 in Brandon Ayuk. So having a guy like OBJ would be a luxury for this 49ers team. It's not a necessity, it's not a need. I mean, you look at the Christian McCaffrey trade. I mean, the Christian McCaffrey trade, that was also a luxury that the Niners acquired in Christian McCaffrey, because Christian McCaffrey, I mean, the running backs, like the running back room was obviously with the injuries, but the running back room, I mean, that's a huge strength of this team, and a lot of Niners fans like to say, I mean, no matter what injuries the Niners have, you can plug in any running back in the system and they'll do well. So bringing in a guy like Christian McCaffrey, I mean, that was a luxury for the 49ers, and obviously it paid off on Sunday, but bringing in OBJ is a luxury for this 49ers team. It's not a position that you need to address. It's not a position of need. One position of need, I would say, is the cornerbacks, right? But with Mosley going down, but I don't know necessarily who you could go after at this point of the season. But bringing in a guy like OBJ, like I said, it has its potential rewards, but it's also a risk bringing in a guy like OBJ, and he's not a position of need. He would be a luxury for this team, and if they would have to potentially trade for him, I wouldn't be interested, because he's not fulfilling a need. And if he's not fulfilling a need and I have to go give up assets for him, I mean, it's just not worth it to me. It's just not.
I think there would be way too many chefs in the kitchen too, if you think about it. I mean, I like what Jawan Jennings does as a role player in our system. And we use Ray McLeod from time to time, but I wish I don't know what I could say. I felt like cursing about this, but can we please get Danny Gray involved somehow?
Okay.
Oh my God. I was so hyped up about that pick, and now it's like I completely forget that he's even on the team.
It's always Ray McLeod. I feel like there was once or twice in the Kansas City game where Kyle dropped up a deep pass, and it was to Danny Gray, and Danny Gray wasn't able to come down with it, or it was, two defenders. But I've seen Ray McLeod more on streaks or post or, long routes than I've seen Danny Gray. And Danny Gray's your burner. So putting in a guy like McLeod out there for that specific route or on that specific play, it doesn't make sense to me, right? And if you're gonna drop the play, I mean, you gotta just give Jimmy a chance to get it there. But if Jimmy gets it there, I'd rather had Danny Gray there than Ray McLeod, because Danny Gray can, with the speed, hopefully he can beat his defender. Ray McLeod, I mean, he's obviously fast, but he's not Danny Gray fast. And the reason why the Niners drafted Danny Gray was because of the speed and potential to take the top off the defense with Trey Lance. And now obviously Trey Lance is hurt, but you can still utilize Danny Gray in the same way if you're calling some of the same similar plays and you're calling a deep pass. You gotta trust your quarterback to get it there. Now, it's obviously if he gets it there, or if he doesn't get it there. But if I'm running a play like that, or I'm calling a route like that, or I'm calling a play like that, I want Danny Gray out there. I want Danny Gray out there because he has the speed to get by his defender, and he has the best chance of, I would say, coming down with that football because of that speed. So if there was one guy that I would want out there, I would want Danny Gray out there.
Yeah. And really quickly say what's up to John V. Says Bash throws up the flames. He says, I'm sorry, Bash. I'm leaving the Browns game versus Bengals. The family, I totally understand. I'll try to get you on. It was last minute when I invited you. But for those of you that don't know who John V is, he's on a great podcast that they do every Tuesday with his best friends that he grew up with. John V's a 49er fan. It's a 49er fan, a Buffalo Bills fan, and a Browns fan, and they're always arguing. It's a great podcast, and definitely check him out. And for those of you who are not subscribed to Amin the Dream on YouTube, I do have the link to his YouTube channel in the description box of this video. Definitely check him out. He happens to be a high school kid, but this guy definitely knows his 49ers. He knows his sports, and he's extremely passionate. And Kenny right here is saying, replace McGlinchey's dumbass. We'll get into that later because that's a whole other topic that needs to be discussed. And what else did Kenny say? Kenny said, we'll get back to Danny Gray. He says, as soon as teams see Danny Gray, they know exactly what play is coming. There's a predictable factor in there. I get it. He needs to be involved more instead of just deep pass plays. When we first got Danny Gray, I was just thinking, oh, wow. I was so hyped up on draft day. There's a video of me getting excited when the pick was made. If you go on my YouTube videos, you'll find it. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking Shanahan was going to come up with all these cool jet sweeps for him and use some of those Debo trickery. Not saying run him like a running back, but use plays that utilize his speed on the outside to run, the same way other teams do with wide receivers. And I just had all these possibilities just flowing through my mind. And so far, we've only seen Danny Gray use on a deep route. And I know that's his specialty. We know that. And honestly, had Trey Lance been the quarterback in the mix, we probably would have seen 2 deep touchdowns by Danny Gray this season by now. But it would be cool to have Danny Gray out there. I mean, like when they tried to throw that one deep pass to Ray McCloud. And again, he's extremely quick, but he's not the fastest guy. But he, had that been thrown at Danny Gray where Jimmy overthrew it that one time, Danny Gray gives you that extra burst of speed where he may have made a play on it. You never know. I mean, it's interesting, man. So let's move on for the wide receivers because we were talking about Odell Beckham Jr. and then other wide receivers got in the mix. And I do like our wide receivers. Obviously, it's a luxury. But hey, we had a game on this past Sunday. Obviously over in Levi South, the 49er fan base repped huge. I want to play a little video of that really, really quick because I'm really proud of our 49er fan base in terms of the way they represent in opposing stadiums. And I'm going to play a video of basically it's the crowd celebrating. You would think this was a 49er stadium because it's basically the crowd celebrating after the touchdown from McCaffrey to Ayuk, which was an amazing play in itself. That was just awesome. Let me just share my screen really quick and we'll get there really quick. And this is from 95.7 The Game on Twitter. And you'll see the video right now. You see a sea of red and the whole crowd's cheering for the touchdown. You would never guess it was a Rams stadium. So it's always fun. It's always fun embarrassing the Rams in their own stadium. Again, we wish we could have did it in the NFC Championship game. But so the first half is going. It's being played. Let's say first quarter. And what do you think of while the first quarter is going of this game?
I mean, the Rams. I mean, it was a slow quarter. I mean, the first quarter. I mean, you look at the Rams. They had this long drive. They were obviously controlling the clock for a majority of that first quarter. Niners didn't have too great of a drive the first drive. Rams go down and score. I mean, the Rams' red zone offense is horrendous. They can't run the football in the red zone at all. And the way that you look at the Rams is they don't even trust their backs. I mean, they're switching between Henderson. Obviously, Akers wasn't playing. They were using some other 2 running backs, but they don't run the football at all in the red zone. It was literally pass because they just don't have the ability to run the football at all. I mean, you look at the Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford is throwing the football a lot, and I get that's just their offensive identity. But even in the red zone, I mean, I think the running back got like 1 carry in the red zone that first drive or 2 carries, and that's it. The rest were all just pass plays because the inability to run the football in the red zone effectively and efficiently. So, I mean, the first half was kind of slow, the first quarter. But, I mean, that CMC throw to, I think it was Brandon Ayuk was beautiful. Straight dime. Like, I'll be honest, right? Like, I was like, damn, that might be better than Jimmy. Like, whoa, like, beautiful. Like, you saw the ball spiraling. It felt like it was, like, in slow motion. Like, it was something out like a movie. Like, it was so beautiful. Slow motion. He a little bit threw it, you could say a little bit ahead of Ayuk, but he kind of led Ayuk in a way to go and grab it. Beautiful. Like, it was some movie magic stuff right there.
It was nice to finally see a big play from Ayuk this season. I wouldn't say it's any fault of his, but Ayuk was being praised as the most dominant player in our training camp. And this is a training camp that was featuring Trent Williams and Bosa and obviously Debo from last year. So we had a lot of big things in mind for Ayuk, and we all know how it is with our quarterback situation. We don't throw the ball down the field as much as we should. And to see Ayuk finally get that big play, I was like, okay, cool, nice, And let alone it comes from our damn running back, our brand new running back, Christian McCaffrey, who's barely been with the team. What up, Raphael says, what up, everyone? Happy Halloween. How's it going, Raphael? How you doing, man? Long time no see. He says, like and subscribe, everyone. Please do so. Only half of my viewers are subscribed to me, so I'd love to see the other half of the people who watch my videos hit that subscribe button. That would be great. And also subscribe to Mean the Dream. We really, really appreciate it. But yeah, it's just interesting, In the first half, though, seriously, I was bored out of my mind. I was like, this game sucks. What are we doing? And then when that Christian McCaffrey play comes, we just all just woke up and like, okay, cool. We like what we see. Let's do this. We got a shot. But you mentioned Matthew Stafford. I mean, this has to be probably. I mean, I've seen it. He was obviously on a crappy organization and some crappy Detroit teams, but he usually came out to play year in and year out. This has got to be the worst I've seen from Matthew Stafford in his career. What do you think this season?
It hasn't been a good start of the season for Matthew Stafford. I think part of that is, Matthew Stafford in particular times, in particular situations, he doesn't make the greatest of decisions. But that Rams team is depleted with injuries on the offensive line. I mean, that Rams team was with starting with like their fourth string center, and they were depleted with injuries, the first couple of weeks of the season. And I've always believed it. And I mean, you look at that Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes against Tom Brady, Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes' offensive line was depleted, and he was running for his life trying to make something happen, and he wasn't able to make something happen the whole game. And he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, I mean, right, like he's phenomenal. Like 13 seconds left in the game and he could get you a field goal. Like Patrick Mahomes is something else. He's something else. But the Rams, I mean, with Matthew Stafford, he's just dealing with injuries on that offensive line. Now, obviously, he had a better game, one of his better games this year. But when you're dealing with offensive line issues and your offensive line is, depleted with injuries, it's hard to protect the quarterback. And the way that the way that the Rams offense is ran, they're a pass first team. They pass the football a lot. I mean, Matthew Stafford throws the ball 30 to 40, times. And if he doesn't get enough time to throw the football and make, right decisions, it's hard for any quarterback to be successful. I mean, let alone, Matthew Stafford, but Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow in that Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard for your quarterback to be successful. So it hasn't been a great start to the season for Matthew Stafford. I think part of that is him. But I mean, with the injuries that he's had on the offensive line, I mean, I won't bash him too much because I think it's definitely hard to when you're too hard to play at your highest level or at your best when your offensive line has some injuries and you don't have enough time to make smart decisions.
Yeah, before we get into the offensive line, I just want to say what's up to some new people that got in. What up, Andy Land 27? How you doing? He says, has anyone else heard about OGB might be considering come to the Niners? Yeah, we brought that up earlier. It would be a luxury. The dream myself definitely covered that, and we agreed upon that. But at the end of the day, he is a talent. I mean, I'm not going to get mad about it if he's coming to our team, and it could possibly help us. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. But year in and year out, I was saying earlier, our name's always in the pot, always in the hat for this OBJ thing, whenever he's available. The Gambler says, "Go Niners," and welcome to the chat. Thank you. And it's funny because I remember in the training camp and in preseason, there were these major concerns about the 49ers offensive line, and people were wondering, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And, I said, hey, you know what? I've seen crappy offensive lines in the 49ers preseasons and training camp, but then when the regular season comes around, it seems like it kind of works itself out. And that's what we're seeing this year. Aaron Banks is looking nice. Burford isn't bad. And Brendel, he's kind of serviceable. McGlinchey's just, well, we're going to do a topic about McGlinchey later. But Trey Williams is Trey Williams. He's a badass. Thank God he's finally healthy. But what I was trying to say was the Rams offensive line is just horrible. It is just terrible. I mean, and on top of that, they have injuries. And then we had 7 sacks in the previous meeting with the LA Rams. And I was surprised we only got to Stafford twice this time around. The pressures were there, but I just thought we'd get to him a whole lot more too.
Yeah, the pressures were definitely there, especially it picked up in the second half. I mean, they were getting after the quarterback. And one thing I love particularly about the offense is when the defense made a stop, the offense would go right down the field and they would put up points. And a lot of those points resulted, a lot of those drives ended up in them scoring touchdowns. So it was great. I mean, this was a complete team win by the team yesterday. I mean, special teams was good, defense was good, offense was good. I mean, they made adjustments in the second half and they came out and they played a great, you know, second half of football. So every part of this team played great yesterday. I mean, I don't know if I could say that this year. I mean, you look at this year and even in the games that they've won, a lot of the times we're like, oh, the defense played great and the offense just did their job. Or, the offense the offense did this, or we haven't said this. We haven't had the opportunity to say, you know what, special teams was great, offense was great, and defense was great. Like, this was the first game against the Rams that you could say, you know what, the special teams had a good game. The defense made adjustments in the second half. They stopped the little quick passes in the slants, or not the slants, but the screen passes. They made adjustments. D'Amico came out and made adjustments. The defense was able to execute. Cooper Kupp was taken out of majority of that game. Now, obviously, Cooper Kupp will still get his targets and still get his receptions and different things like that. But for the most part, I was happy with the adjustments that D'Amico made, especially with him limiting a guy like Cooper Kupp. I mean, that was great. And then offensively, putting up points, like capitalizing off your defense making stops. The offense put up points. I mean, they pretty much put it out of reach for the Rams with like maybe 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They did their thing offensively, and they made the game out of reach for the Rams, and they didn't give the Rams a chance to come back. So great team, great overall team win. I think everybody, all three phases of the ball was great. Everybody did their job, and Jimmy Garoppolo had a good game. I mean, obviously, it's the Rams. We've seen him do it before. But Jimmy Garoppolo had arguably one of his best games of this year. 21 for 25, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, Jimmy had a great game. And that's one thing that I love about the CMC move, is that you have a guy that could take, a dump off from Jimmy G and take it 20 yards, 20 plus yards. And that could break a couple of tackles, do a spin move, and get you 20 yards. I mean, there was a play yesterday that it was like a third down or like a second down, and Christian McCaffrey does this little spin move and breaks 2 tackles and picks up a first down. That's what Christian McCaffrey can do to this offense. He can extend plays. I mean, Christian McCaffrey was great yesterday, and so was Jimmy Garoppolo. But it's definitely with Christian McCaffrey, you have a guy that's natural position is running back that you can line up in the slot and use in a variety of different ways. And then you have a guy like Deebo Samuel, who's a wide receiver, and you line him up in the backfield. So you have two guys that play different positions, but that are used pretty much in the same way, or not in the same way, but you get what I'm saying, opposite ways.
One's a wide back and one's a running receiver.
Running receiver, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, the Niners can do so much, and Kyle Shanahan can do so much with this offense. When you have a guy like CMC that you can line up wherever, and when you have a guy like Deebo Samuel that you can also line up wherever, but you can also use him in the backfield. So this offense can do some damage with CMC. Hopefully we're able to be consistent. Obviously, we have a bye week this week, so I don't really get to see, maybe sadness if we play the Chargers, or something bad happening. I don't got my heart rate will be fine on Sunday. I don't got to see it going up and down against watching Niners games this week, but I mean, there's a lot that this Niners offense can do with the addition of CMC. I mean, this team has a bunch of potential. I mean, if this team can stay healthy, obviously coming off the bye week, you're getting your players back. I mean, this team has a lot of potential. This team is talented. This team is super talented. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I don't know if you said the Niners are a Super Bowl contender. I don't know if you said that yesterday. I don't remember. Did you say the Niners are Super Bowl contenders yesterday?
I never said Super Bowl contender once this year, because I heard Super Bowl contender talks like around week 2 and week 3, and I was like, this is way too early with this team. I mean, talent wise, our roster is so stacked, but we're underachieving this year. And for me to say Super Bowl contender, I have to see a lot of good in the next 4 games coming up after the bye, and then I might, if we're lucky, to say that. But right now, I'm not saying it. No.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, this team, talent wise, is there. There's 2 problems. There's been a lot of inconsistencies this year. This team has definitely been undisciplined at times. And the other problem that the Niners fans know all too well is injuries. I mean, you look at the past couple of seasons, there's been a bunch of injuries. I mean, even this year, like, we're one of the top teams in, dealing with injuries. I mean, Armstead is out, Kinlaw is out. I mean, this team is talented. Talent-wise, like, we're a Super Bowl team, right? We have all the pieces, but just the injuries. And then there's been so many inconsistencies this year where I'm like, I don't know if I can definitively call this team a Super Bowl team. When this team is playing at their best, this team is a Super Bowl team, right? If they can stay healthy and if they're playing at their best. I mean, this team can go up against any team in the NFC. They can go up against the Eagles and potentially beat the Eagles if they play like the way they played in that coming out in that second half. But there's just been too many inconsistencies this year. and this team has dealt with injuries. They dealt with injuries in the past, but I mean, with the inconsistencies this year and the injuries that they've dealt with, not only this year but in the previous years, I don't know if I can definitively call this team a Super Bowl team. So I agree with you. I mean, this talent's there. Talent wise, this team is definitely a Super Bowl roster, but there's been inconsistencies, and this team just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And I gave Jimmy Garoppolo props, right? Like I gave Jimmy Garoppolo props for his game on Sunday, but it's hard to overcome certain things like with injury. It's hard to overcome like injuries, or when you don't have a quarterback that can overcome those things. And a lot of the times you see, teams that dealing with injuries, you have a guy like Herbert, or you have a guy like Mahomes, or you have a guy like Josh Allen, where if your star receiver is out, or you're dealing with injuries on the offensive line, you have a chance to overcome those things because those guys are talented and they elevate their play to help potentially make up for the lack of, the receivers or the offensive line or whatever it might be. But with Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know if I could say, if we continue to deal with these injuries and, if Debo's, out for another week or whatever it might be, can Jimmy Garoppolo and this team overcome that? I don't know if I could say that. And even if you look at the injuries, a lot of the injuries have been on the defensive side of the football. Mosley,
Mm.
Armstead, Kinlaw. I mean, that's the strength of this team, right? The defense is the strength of this team. So
This
I
was
don't
the
know.
best game of the defense since Mosley went down, actually.
It has been. It really
Yeah,
has been.
that was a big loss for us, and obviously losing Armstead and Kinlaw up the middle, our run defense has suffered from it, and obviously we bounced back big time defensively. So hopefully we can continue that trend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And so obviously in this game, and you mentioned that it was a team win because Shanahan said the same exact thing in his post game speech to the players, was saying that that this team wasn't one of those games where one side of the ball overshadowed the other. It was a complete team. Even in all three phases of the game, special teams looked nice as well. And we overcame some injuries in this game. So going to the game, we didn't have Debo, we didn't have Kyle Juszczyk, so. I believe we had Juwan Jennings, so there was a lot of weight on the shoulders of the offense and the playmakers to step up, and obviously Christian McCaffrey, who we have to highlight and talk about because he was the star of the show. I mean, he's barely been with the team, he barely knows the playbook. I mean, I think it was unfair last week. People were I know we lost the game, and I know when you lose a game, there's questions come about and questions about the coaching staff comes around, but at the end of the day, he touched the ball 10 times in the Chiefs game, and he had only been with the team 2 days. I mean, I was like, okay, that's a little bit more than I thought he'd see the ball. Now, was it perfect? No, I mean, we lost the game. But this time around, hey, I mean, we even he was looking good on the running plays. I mean, he brings that burst. He hits that hole with that special burst that I love. You mentioned that he does something similar to Debo when he catches the ball. And he does something better than Debo, in my opinion, where he looks more to make people miss, where I wish Debo would kind of look more to make people miss rather than just hammer into everybody every single time. That happens a lot. What's up, David McNew? How you doing? He says, oh, happy Halloween. What up, Bashar and Amin? You should go hatless more often. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean, I love this addition of Christian McCaffrey. He, the touchdown to Ayuk was amazing. It's going to be something
I don't know if
talk
David
about.
caught the stream yesterday, but yesterday Bashar was wearing like a normal shirt and everything. I called him. What I call
You
him?
call me Bashar Ross, like Bob
Bashar
Ross, the
Ross,
painter.
Bob Ross saying
Yeah, I'm
his thing. I call him Bashar Ross.
Moon Curry today. So
Yeah, he's Jackie Curry Moon.
So McCaffrey brings that burst in the run game that I just love. He hits that hole faster than a running back that I've seen maybe since Frank Gordon's prime or Ricky Waters in his prime. It's like that elite level. We can finally have that aspect to our run game that we missed with Mostert, where we run those outside zone plays and where we have big play potential on the outside now. It's beautiful. He has amazing hands. I mean, I cringed when Jimmy had time to throw in the red zone because we've been so bad in the red zone when Jimmy had a little more time to throw on that play. And then all of a sudden at the last second, he throws it to McCaffrey. McCaffrey freaking stretches out, and just makes a beautiful, gorgeous jumping, leaping catch, both feet down in the end zone. Somebody put up that picture of him stretching out for that catch next to Michael Jordan. They both wear number 23, obviously, and then obviously the other McCaffrey touchdown was a short little one. But, hey, I mean, what do you think about this McCaffrey trade? I mean, did we make the right move? I mean, it's a kind of rhetorical question.
So far, yes. I mean, McCaffrey was outstanding yesterday. He had the hat trick. I mean, the receiving, rushing, he was great yesterday. And from a pure fan's perspective, it was enjoyable to watch. I mean, you look at with the Trey Lance injury, the excitement definitely went down. You were struggling, but then you traded for a guy like McCaffrey, and then the excitement level automatically jumped, and you're like, damn, we made a trade. We got freaking Christian McCaffrey. And I mean, it was overall fun to watch yesterday. And Christian McCaffrey had himself a day yesterday, and that's the thing. I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but Christian McCaffrey has the potential of, take a little 5-yard dump off and can take it 20 plus yards like Debo Samuel can. So Christian McCaffrey is elusive, he's shifty, he's fast, he gets to the holes. I mean, Christian McCaffrey can be huge in this offense. Now, obviously, we hope that he could potentially, if this team can stay healthy, can take this Niners offense over the top. But Christian McCaffrey was definitely great yesterday. I just hope he could not. I just hope he doesn't get hurt, and I just hope he's able to stay consistent with it. But Christian McCaffrey was definitely great yesterday, and
Yeah.
so far it looks like a phenomenal trade.
Yeah, he definitely on a big stage in Los Angeles, Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, in front of thousands of Niner fans. He just shined like a superstar yesterday. It was beautiful.
Can you pull up Eric
Go ahead.
Davis comment? Eric Davis
Yeah,
comment.
I was
real
gonna
quick.
say, I know this isn't the Eric Davis that played for the Niners. It's kind of funny that you have the same name. I believe you're on my Facebook. You're a big Niner fan. I'm pretty sure I know who you are. He said, which one, about the CMC or this one?
No,
right
there
here?
was a specific play. I think
He said, "I say
where
let's."
Leonard
This
Floyd first
Okay,
play.
here you go.
It was like mid-second quarter or something like that, and Leonard Floyd comes and he literally grabs Jimmy Garoppolo in the face mask
I saw
and like
that. I saw
literally
that.
tugs him to the ground. I mean, that was unfortunate
Was that in
because
the first half? Because
that
I
was in the
saw.
first half. That was a definitive. That should have been like, yeah,
I
easily a
don't want
face
to make
mask.
this a referee bitch fest, but I mean, my energy levels were all the way to the ground early in the game because there were so many stupid calls. I mean, they kept calling like dumb penalties on the cornerback, on the DBs.
Pass interference,
Yeah, that was crazy how they let that Leonard Floyd get away with that play on Jimmy G and all kinds of bad calls. And even when I don't know if it was the first half or not, but that one play where they threw to McCaffrey and he got tackled at the 1 yard line, and then he caught the ball. It looked like a completed catch, and he made a football move, and then he fumbled, and then we recovered the ball at the 1 yard line. And then they said, "Oh no, it was ruled an incomplete catch." Do you remember that one?
which one? The
It was
incomplete
it was one where they threw to him and he caught it in the middle of the field, McCaffrey, and then he fumbled it. And
Oh
then we
yeah.
recovered at the 1 yard line. And then they took it back and said it wasn't a completed catch, and I thought it was a catch. So no.
I mean, I think he took like 2 to 3. It looked like a complete catch. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
yeah,
because I didn't
I
see
don't
him
know.
bobbling it. It looked like he caught it firmly and made a football move with the steps and then fumbled, but whatever. And we went up to G-Rod. G-Rod says it's crazy how CMC comes in and just outplays the other running backs. He's a generational player for sure. Yeah, I mean, Jeff Wilson's a nice player. He has a nice burst of speed, and he's doing some good things. He's putting up some good yards, but CMC is just a whole different level. I likened how.
I mean, when you make
man.
it, sorry to cut you off,
Go
you
ahead.
can finish.
Oh no, just I just want to say again, like that burst of speed he has when he hits the hole is just something you rarely see in a 49 uniform, and I love it.
I mean, when you can make a catch like that as a running back, that Jimmy G made a play, found Christian McCaffrey, threw it up. I was like, oh no, will that be a pick? And Christian McCaffrey went up and was like, psh, and like just caught it. And I was like, there's not that many running backs that can do that in the league. I mean, it was great. It was a phenomenal catch by Christian McCaffrey, a good throw by Jimmy and finding, an open guy. But Christian McCaffrey is a great running back, and we obviously knew that when the Niners traded for him. We've known that he was phenomenal on the Panthers. The only thing about Christian McCaffrey is that he hasn't been able to stay on the field much because he's continuously dealt with injuries. But Christian McCaffrey, I mean, the talent is there. I mean, you definitely know the work ethic is there. Everything is there, but he just hasn't been able to consistently stay on the field. But talent-wise, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best backs in the league.
And not only the talent, he has this, he's got his dad went to Stanford with freaking John Lynch. And then his dad played for the 49ers on our last Super Bowl team when Kyle Shanahan's father was the coach, was the offensive coordinator, that is. And then, he takes Mike Shanahan goes to the Broncos and brings Christian McCaffrey with him, and they win Super Bowls there. And so it's like there's this whole like family connection and with Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey just like when he first stepped onto the field in a Niner uniform before the Chiefs game, he stopped and he paused. I don't know if he said a prayer to himself, but he was really emotionally locked into being a 49er. He loves being a 49er. This is where he wanted to be. And it's just a beautiful marriage. And I think we may actually hoist the Lombardi Trophy with Christian McCaffrey one day. Let me say what's up to Jay Aguayo 56. I've seen you a lot in the 49er chats before. I recognize you. Said at 49, I think he's asking me. Hope you're having a great evening, great win. And I'm wrong to think that Shanahan seems to be opening up the pass. Am I wrong to think that Shanahan got to slow down? Am I wrong to think that Shanahan seems to be opening up the passing attack for the past 2 and 3 games? It's like defenses are when defenses totally stack the box on us. I do want us to pass more. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily have the greatest quarterback, and mistakes do happen. But sure, I still want us to. We got so many playmakers. I've been dying to see how you get the ball downfield, especially guys like Debo. And I do want to open up the passing game a bit here and there too. I mean, I don't want to just be this team that only runs the ball. What do you think, Amin? Are you still there? Or are you gone?
My bad.
Okay, it's all good.
Cough.
Okay, it's all good. Yeah, what do you think about that? About Jay Aguayo's question about opening up the passing game the past 2-3 games?
I mean, the passing game has definitely opened up, and I think a lot of that was, I would say, the Kansas City game. I mean, you kind of had to pass the football more because I don't think running the football and doing what the Niners usually do would be able to go up against Patrick Mahomes in that offense. But the passing game has definitely opened up. But here's what I will say, though. Looking at that Rams game, we've seen them dominate the Rams like that. We've seen them dominate the Rams 8 times in a row, right? So this offense has definitely looked better. The play action, someone mentioned the play action in the comments. I mean, that is something that has helped make this offense better. But the real test for me, like I've said before in the past, was how well can you do against, a team like the Chargers, or a team like, like we played the Chiefs, or, some of these teams that have good offenses. Can what you're doing on offense go toe-to-toe against these other great or top 5 offenses? And those are the games where I'll really be like, all right, yeah, this offense is the real deal, or yeah, this defense is the real deal. Because I get it, the Rams are former Super Bowl champions, but we've seen them dominate the Rams before. And how many times have we seen them, like going back to last year? We came off that horrible loss against Arizona. And if we played the Rams the next week on Monday Night Football, we dominate the Rams. I'm not comparing the Chargers to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are something else. But I'm just saying, I'm just giving an example. But I mean, we've seen them dominate the Rams before. But going back to last year, you saw them play the Cardinals. They had a horrible game. They bounced back against the LA Rams. And then the week later, I think, you go down and play Seattle, and then you lose to Seattle. Or you go and play the Titans, and your offense only puts up 10. I mean, we've seen them dominate the Rams, and then we've seen them struggle against other teams that are potential playoff teams. The Titans were number 1 seed. Or you see them struggle against other teams. So, as much as I'm happy with how well the offense has done, the last couple of games, I think I really want to see them go up against other teams. And not just only the offense. I really want to see us go up against these other teams like the Saints, like the Dolphins, like the Chargers, who are coming up on the schedule, to see how well we could do offensively, not only offensively, but defensively, and to see how well we were able to do as a team.
That's right. So let's because I know it came up earlier, and we're going to talk about McGlinchey in a second. I just want to throw up this one guy really quick. Uncle Rico says he can throw a football over those mountains. Hey, we're great. We're pleased to have you on. You're always welcome to come back on here, Uncle Rico. We appreciate you. And G Rod says, we talked about this earlier. He says, I want to get Danny Gray in sync with his offense. His speed is ridiculous. Yeah, that definitely brought it up earlier because I'm a huge Danny Gray guy. I was extremely excited when we drafted him. There's a video of my live draft reaction on this channel if you search through my old videos. And I think it's a travesty that we're not getting him involved. The team fell highly of him to draft him in round 3. He's not only fast, but he's tough. And he's not built like a scrawny little dude like Pettis or even, Goodwin. He's built bigger than these guys. And he's a bit stronger and he's tougher. In some way or another, we have to figure out how to get him involved, And Kenny mentioned earlier how it is predictable if we have him in there and we only throw a deep route to him. Figure other ways to use him. And also, Eric Davis, who's in here, did mention something earlier about a passing game. He said the big part of this passing game will be the play action. Exactly. They stack the box. They think we're going to run. Boom. Hit him up with the play action. Big plays should come. I think that kind of rhymed a little bit, right? I'm not a rapper or anything like that. Even though you call me Biggie Smalls, I mean the dream. Jay Aguayo here says, I'm 49er minded and a meme. What are your thoughts on rumors that we're shopping Wilson? I hope we keep him in for extra depth. Look at all these rumors surrounding me every day. Some of you old school peeps may know that song. You won't know that song, but you can look it up. It's all good, man. You're like, damn it, shut up, old man. Anyways, yeah, we talked about this earlier about the Odell Beckham Jr. rumor, about the Jeff Wilson Jr. rumor. Me and I pretty much we agreed that Jeff Wilson Jr. is a nice talent to keep around unless we get like really good compensation for him. I just say we keep him because he agrees with me. Our running backs get hurt a lot. It's just how this team goes, So I don't think we're gonna get second round compensation. I don't know if we usually get third.
We got a Lakers fan in the chat real quick. We got a Lakers fan.
Oh, okay. Pulse. He's a Niner fan too. Niners, Lakers. Okay, here we go. Yeah, he's LeBron James for Halloween. I'm Jackie Moon Curry. If you don't know, now you know. Steph Curry with the shot.
I don't know if y'all can see the number. Yes.
Hey, congratulations! You guys actually won a game.
We won a game. I felt like I won a championship yesterday. I went 2-0. I won a game in in fantasy. I won a game on the Niners won a game. The Lakers won a game. Like I went 3-0 if we're for counting fantasy, but it felt great. I felt like I won a championship. As a Lakers fan,
all this for one regular season.
I felt like I was on top of the world as a Lakers fan. Like I came into school, like all like thing. Everybody's like, "What about the Lakers?" I'm like, "Yes." What about them Lakers? Like I was vibing today. Like how you guys react to winning a championship. That was me. That was me winning a game yesterday. I was like, "What's up, y'all? Like, we've got to win. Like, we're not 0-5 anymore. We're not the only team that hasn't won. Now we're tied with the Kings." Like, I was so happy. I was ecstatic.
Pule, is that how you say it? Pule or Pule? I don't know. Yeah, we finally won. I can't stand Russell Westbrook. I don't blame you for that one. What up, Cook Sports says, "What's up, man? How you doing?" I think he's another 49er Laker fan. There you go. You're in company. Hey, you guys are celebrating your victory. I know. I feel you. You got LeBron. He dresses LeBron James. You're all confident for Halloween. I get it. So we talked about the good stuff in this game, and obviously, we liked what we saw in the defense. But let's talk about the black eye of this team. This is a player who was drafted really, really high. I'm a big offensive line guy. I played offensive line in high school, and I liked McGlinchey's character early on, and I loved his run blocking, and I thought he was arguably the most dominant run blocker in the NFL. I don't think he's on that level anymore, though. I mean, anybody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. But with McGlinchey, it was more so of a player who was pretty solid here and there throughout his career, and then he'd always have that moment, like in a close game, where he'd mess up and it stood out like a sore thumb. But he wasn't necessarily terrible all throughout the game. But now it looks like with McGlinchey that he's starting to look terrible more often than not. It's like more of a consistency type of thing. I mean, before I let you go, but before I let you speak on this, I want to play one video real quick and share my screen just to give you the guys. I mean, what he did on this play is just completely inexcusable. If you guys may want to guess which play I'm talking about, but I'm going to share my screen right now and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, because there's no place for this in today's NFL. If you're going to be a starting left tackle or right tackle, whatever it may be, I'm going to share my screen and show you guys. I'm shocked that McGlinchey did this, and he needs to be ashamed of himself for this. And I'm no longer going to be the guy that defends him anymore like I used to. Let's watch this.
Kind of looked like he was going to drop.
Let me rewind it.
Floyd again, come off the edge.
We're going to watch it like 3 times. How about that?
And they lost eyes on him. Aaron D. Floyd again, come off the edge.
He turns around at the end. Oh, now you see him. One more time.
Aaron D. Floyd
in case he missed it.
Come off the edge.
He's blocking.
Looked like he was going to drop.
Oh my God. He's literally blocking against air as if Casper the Ghost is in front of him. And I don't get it. What do you think it means? I'm just done with McGlinchey after this season. I want to move on.
I mean, I mentioned my take on McGlinchey yesterday. And let's say we have 40 to 45, plays or snaps, offensive snaps in a game. 40 or 42 of them McGlinchey's right? He'll do his job. And there'll be like those 2 or 3 where McGlinchey will frick up. And when he fricks up, it'll be like a 3rd and 10 or it'll be a 2nd and 8, and McGlinchey will allow a sack and he'll get beat. And you're like, McGlinchey, what was that? Like, you're garbage. Your fans will be like, you're garbage. Like, how could you let that happen? And then there's plays like yesterday as well where you're like, McGlinchey's bad play or like head scratching where you're like, dude, what were you doing? Like, what was the thought process there you were guarding air? So McGlinchey, I mean, McGlinchey, is he phenomenal? Is he an all pro? Is he elite? No. But is he a decent player? Is he a decent right tackle? Is he a good right tackle? Yeah. Does he have his issues in the pass game? At times, yes. Does he screw up sometimes when it feels like a 3rd and 10 or when the Niners need a first down or need something to happen? That does happen. But McGlinchey's all right. He's solid. I wouldn't mind moving off McGlinchey. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing someone else playing right tackle next year. I wouldn't even mind if they brought back McGlinchey, depending on the price. If the price is right, I wouldn't mind bringing McGlinchey back on a team-friendly deal. But McGlinchey, he isn't bad. He's just not, he isn't elite or anything like that. He's solid. And that's all I'll say about McGlinchey. And like I said, like 40 pass plays or whatever it might be, he's good on a lot of those and he does his job. And then there'll be like those couple of plays in the game where it's horrible and you clearly could see McGlinchey getting beat. And it'll be like on a 2nd and 8 or a 3rd and 10 or whatever, on a 3rd and long, and McGlinchey will get beaten and allow a sack. So I think McGlinchey, he's solid. He's all right. I wouldn't mind them bringing someone else next year. Is he elite or is he all pro or anything like that? No. Hell no. But is he solid? Does he do his job? He does. So I would say he's all right. He's solid. I mean, he's just solid. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty much all you can say about
Keep
McGlinchey.
in mind he does get hurt from time to time too. And I just think we could. Why not try to get better though? That's my thing. Why not try to get better?
I don't know who you would replace him for. That's the thing. I don't know who you would bring
I don't
in.
know who's available in the draft
Yeah.
in rounds 3 and 4. I mean, at this point, I don't know who's available for free agency. I just don't know. What up, Channel 49? He says Jimmy G lifetime contract, baby. He's so funny, man. Oh man. But hey, where is he? Said he was telling me not to bash McGlinchey. Eric Davis. If you knew how many times I had defended, I hadn't gotten to the arguments on this channel, but I'm talking in like live conference calls with 49er fans on Facebook or whatever. I got into shouting matches over McGlinchey at one point in time, though. So I've defended him a lot, but I just kind of seen enough. I want to see something better. That's all I want. I just want to improve. I want our team to get better at certain positions. The same way I moved on from Jimmy before we drafted Trey Lance, and now it's like we're stuck with him because Trey got hurt due to some stupidity that should have never happened. But we're stuck with Jimmy for this time being. But yeah, good question, Jake. Why if we get rid of McGlinchey, who do we replace him with? Jalen Moore, McKivitz, or someone else? I wouldn't want it to be Jalen Moore. I mean, who knows? Maybe they move Burford to tackle and then throw in Poe or somebody else, or Jalen Moore to possibly play guard. I'm not sure what they do if they don't draft somebody. I'd like to see them draft somebody. Be nice if the scouting department could find a nice gem, but you never know. And then David McNew says McGlinchey was a 9th overall pick. Should be more than what he is. Exactly. He should be more than what he is. And I not want to sit there and brag and say, oh, wow, he should be an all pro or should be a pro bowler, but he's not. He needs to play a bit better than what he's playing right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, we're about to close things out. I really appreciate everybody coming on the chat. It was a last minute show. The turnout was pretty low in the beginning, but then others trickled in, and we always appreciate whoever's in here. And we love your questions. We love your comments. We love the interaction. And if you guys don't know who Amin the Dream is, definitely check out his YouTube channel. I have the description box of this video. I have his link to his YouTube channel. Definitely check him out. And if you have any final words, Amin the Dream, go ahead and say them. Let everybody know what's going on.
Pleasure coming on with you. Definitely, we did this last minute. You hit me up. I was like, yeah, definitely gonna come on with you, Bashar, on this Halloween night. But definitely appreciate the chat, and it was a pleasure being on with you.
Thank you. And we're gonna talk about one or two more things really quick before we get going. Silverado Kev, last minute, I see you here. We're closing it out. He says Jimmy had a solid game. Hell, about the best he's had, but he needs to stack these type of games on top of each other. Totally agree with you there. Let's cross our fingers. Oh, he's not. Silverado Kev, him and we have this inside joke because he's from Real Talk Niner Talk, and he always says Jimmy G's not a cerebral quarterback, and it just stuck in my head. It would be kind of this thing where like a catchphrase with him, Jimmy G. It says, "Oh, he's still not a cerebral quarterback." Yeah, things haven't changed. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Tommy Huxley's here. Tommy Huxley, closing the show out though, but definitely appreciate you guys coming in. I want to say this really quick before we go. One last thing about the Niners, because we do have the bye week coming up, and people are going to be coming back healthy, so that's going to be good. And the next 4 games we do have coming up, it's going to be interesting. And I think, the Rams game is never it's just not a measuring stick for the 49ers, obviously, because we always beat them anyways, but it'll be nice to beat them when it counted in the playoffs. But who do we have coming up? We have the Chargers coming up November 13th, November 21st. We have the Cardinals, so the Chargers and the Cardinals. After that, on the 27th, we have the New Orleans Saints, and then we have the Dolphins. So those 4 games are going to tell you a whole lot about these Niners, and then we're going to play the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Cardinals to close off the season. So we'll find out whether or not if this is even a playoff team, if we're a Super Bowl team, whatever, man. But again, thank you for the chatters. Thank you, Amin the Dream. Really appreciate you having you on. Happy Halloween to everybody. I dressed as Jackie Moon / Jackie Moon Curry for the occasion. He dressed up as LeBron to celebrate his Lakers win. With that said, thank you guys for coming on 49er Minded, where we get into the minds of 49er fans. Keep repping those 49ers and stay 49er minded. And here comes Amin's favorite 49er Minded theme song right here, buddy. Check it out. Come on, 49er fans, let's get it.
Because it's 49er mind.
We gotta do this one time for the Empire.
It's 49er mind. It's 49er mind.
We gotta get that brick by brick done quick.
49er mind.
Yeah, yo, we can't listen to them haters, man.
49er mind.
We from the Bay.
49er mind.
We them San Francisco 49ers.
49er mind.
We got that red and gold blood inside us.